Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to start looking at the causes of World War I and what events led the United States to become involved. And we're going to jump right into the juicy stuff, beginning with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Now, because this is an American history class, we're not really going to get into the world ramifications or the world impact of World War I, right? So just kind of a quick summary here. All right, the the war begins with the assassination of the Austrian-Hungarian heir to the throne, Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Now, Austria-Hungary is a country in Europe that has several different ethnic groups, right, all fighting to become an independent country. Okay, and this would be one of the the next in line to rule the country. So you had a Serbian nationalist who was going to assassinate him while he is on a parade through Sarajevo. Right now, of the two world wars, right, World War I, World War II, World War I is by far the lesser known of the two. In terms of death and destruction, World War II definitely takes the cake. But the seeds of World War II are laid within World War I. So in order to understand why World War II occurs, we have to look back and understand, right, how World War I happened, what occurred during the war, and then how the war ended, which leads to World War II. Now this is Archduke here. All right, I saw a funny YouTube video. Maybe I'll try and get it going in class for those people that are at that point. Right, it was a British comedy show back in the 80s, I believe, and it showed World War I soldiers. And if anybody watches House, right, the guy who plays House is playing one of these soldiers, and they're sitting around talking about how World War I happened, and they referred to this guy as the Archduke. Obviously, having some fun. They didn't really know how to pronounce his name, and they said that he shot an ostrich because he was hungry. So if you look, the Archduke, Austria, they thought it was ostrich, and then Hungary, they didn't know it was part of the country. So the Archduke shot an ostrich because he was hungry is a simple way to remember that. But anyway, the response to the assassination is then Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia. Now this is where the soap opera, so to say, or the drama begins. Right? In order to prevent a war from happening at this time, Europe divided itself into two major teams, and they thought that by dividing into these two teams or gangs, right, that it would deter one country from then having declaring war on another country, because it would involve so many countries. So here were the two sides that we had. We had the Central Powers, which were Austria-Hungary, Germany, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria. Italy actually starts off on that side, but then when the war starts, they jump ship to the Allied powers. And then the Allies are Serbia, Russia, France, Great Britain, and Italy. It's important to remember that the conflict here began between Serbia and Austria-Hungary, but yet we have all of these different countries getting involved. So we need to remember, right, that this alliance system where they all had this legal alliance, they were bound to one another, it caused a local conflict between two small groups of people. Now it becomes a worldwide affair because of the alliance system, right? One way to think of this is, imagine that you and 4 or 5 of your friends decided to, bound yourself to one, like tie yourself together at the arms. And if one of you jumped into a swimming pool, what's going to happen to the rest of you, whether you wanted to go in the pool or not? You're going to get dragged in. So if one country declares war on another, right, if you're in part of that alliance, you're now going to have to go to war as well, because probably the worst thing you could do from a foreign policy perspective is to turn your back on an alliance. Right now, I do have two visuals here on the next slide that will kind of make that a little bit more easier for you to understand. All right, we'll look first at this map. This is a map of Europe. It's showing you the Triple Alliance versus the Triple Entente. All right, Triple Alliance, if you look at your key, being in the green, the United Kingdom, France, Russia, all right, Serbia in there as well, and then the Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria-Hungary, Italy to start with, Ottoman Empire then comes in and takes Italy's place when they jump. Now, the one important thing I want you to get out of this map is, even though Austria-Hungary was kind of the leader here by declaring war on Serbia, Germany is the leader of this particular gang, so to say, right, by all means. They were definitely stronger militarily. They had more of an impact on the world stage. So they're going to provide the bulk of the troops. Now, what do you notice about Germany's location between all of the countries that make up the Triple Entente? All right, so the United Kingdom is over here, France is here, Russia is here. So Germany has to fight what is referred to as a two-front war. They have to fight troops on this side of Germany, and they have to fight troops on that side of Germany. So they, in fact, have to split their troops to protect either side of Germany. Now, file that away in your brain somewhere, because we're definitely going to come back to that, right? When you're going to see when Russia ends up leaving the war, Germany is able to turn their full attention on France and the United Kingdom. Okay, now, in case that the alliance system wasn't confusing enough as it is, I found this when I was trying to find some graphics that maybe helped untangle the whole alliance system ideal, and this, in fact, does not even attempt to untangle it. It, in fact, makes it all that much more confusing, right? So, if you're confused, you accomplished exactly what it is that I wanted you to do, because you'll see that the treaties, the agreements that all these different countries had, right? It wasn't just between two countries. It ends up encompassing all of Europe. So all you needed was the one small little thing to start it that's going to cause, the dominoes, so to say, the dominoes to start falling. Right. Now, here are your causes of World War I. Now, because I'm the king of those silly ways of remembering things, yes, I do have a way for you to remember these. But let's look at the four first. The first one is militarism. The root word is military. It's the idea of building up your nation's armed forces. So if one country starts building up their military, everybody's going to be on high alert. They're going to now start building up their military. Next thing you know, you have a bunch of countries with strong militaries that don't trust one another. The second one is the alliance system. I talked about that at the beginning. Third was our whole last chapter, was imperialism, the idea of building empires. So as these countries want more and more colonies, they're going to start competing with each other to establish the most amount of colonies around the world. And the last one is nationalism. That's like, I guess we could look at it as extreme patriotism. Okay, not just pride in your country, right, but the willingness to fight or to have a rebellion or revolution to protect your country or to become an independent country. Now, I did insert an organizer for you. It's definitely important. Definitely make sure you hold on to it, right, because a lot of your questions on your test deal with the causes of World War I, right? So make sure you hold on to that, right? But the important thing is it goes from a small event to a worldwide event because of the alliance system. And all four of these kind of mixed together really made for a perfect storm that led to World War I occurring. One of the big ideas, or the big outcomes of World War I, was the idea of trench warfare. Now, what happened is in the opening days of World War I, okay, the armies march out. They're thinking it's going to be a really quick event, right? But when they realize that it's going to be a long, drawn-out affair, they start to dig a series of defensive trenches all over Europe, right, to prevent the enemy from advancing further. So you can see the soldiers down here in the trenches, right, and a soldier here on the side of a trench, right. And now this is, and I'll show you a graphic on the next page. This is going to lead to a tremendous amount of casualties because enemies are going to come up out of their trench. They're going to charge the other trench, the enemy's trench, right, and then the machine guns start firing, the artillery starts firing, right, and they're going to lose lots of troops. So let me just go back to the organizer or the graphic real quick. Right, so this is showing you troops that are charging this way, okay, against the enemy, and you can see here are the series of defensive trenches. You have machine gun nests, you have airplanes flying over top, you have long-range artillery in the back, right, and the troops that are in the trenches, they have a built-in defense system where they can just kind of lean up over the top and they can fire at the charging troops. And you got barbed wire across the inside. Okay, this area here was referred to as no man's land, the area in between the trenches, all right, because no man owned that and no men really wanted to go through that particular area.